Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Forward DFW together with the Dallas Morning News. I'm Ron Corning, and we're talking today about teen dating violence. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And when it comes to awareness around domestic violence, there's no one better to turn to than the Family Place. They've been protecting victims of domestic abuse and helping them for a very long time in DFW. And now they're leading the charge for teen dating violence with what's known as the B Project. Carrie Webb is joining me. She's a prevention educator at the Family Place and our only guest for the next 20 minutes or so as we really dive into this topic. Thank you, Carrie, for being here. I know you're a young woman speaking as an educator to other young women who really aren't that much younger than you. They're of high school age. Are they more open to talking about what they're experiencing as they're dating because they identify with you on that level, do you think?
Yes. I think my age definitely helps them feel a little more comfortable. It's like I'm an adult, but not really an adult. So they feel a little safer to talk to me about some things they may not with others.
I want to talk to you about the statistics. I mean, do we know the overall, sort of, it's hard to quantify, isn't it? But in general terms, you're saying 1 in 3 teenagers will experience physical, sexual and or emotional abuse by a partner. That's one in 3. That's a third of young people who date. Why does it seem as if we're not hearing more about it if it's this prevalent?
I think just the comfortability of them reporting it. This happens to a lot of teens, but a lot of them don't feel comfortable telling anyone. So those are those unreported numbers that we aren't knowing about.
So the number could be much higher than this.
It could be.
Is it possible that young people, for a number of reasons, and I think this is an important conversation to have, for a number of reasons, don't recognize that the way they're being treated is abusive?
Yes. I think that is a very big part of it. Maybe it has been normalized in their community or in their family or just with the people that they're around. So they don't realize like this isn't okay because they've seen it happen in so many situations.
So their baseline for what a normal relationship is could be different depending on what they've seen during their formative years, right?
Yes.
Is it also possible that they don't recognize certain abuses as abuse?
Yes.
It's really easy to identify when somebody's been physically abusive. They strike you, they leave a bruise or a mark perhaps. Somebody else sees that and recognizes it, asks about it, gets angry that it's happened, and then, maybe this relationship is then on display to be analyzed. But emotional abuse is a lot more covert.
Yes.
Right?
You can't see it. There's no proof of it technically unless the person discloses this to someone else. Like there's no bruises, there's no marks.
And so I find it interesting. You've come up with a couple of things. One is the Dating Bill of Rights.
Yes.
And is this a conversation that you have with a potential partner, someone you're dating, and you go over this with them?
Yeah. Yes, it could definitely be something. I think it would be good for all relationships to kind of start that way and kind of figure out, okay, what is our ground rules? Like, what are my deal breakers? What is something that I am absolutely not okay with happening?
So let me just name some of them because I think it's important. I have the right to trust and confide in my partner, know that my limits will be respected, have space and independence, feel loved, be treated as equal to my partner, say no at any time. I have the right to my own privacy, my own opinions, a healthy relationship. So in the event, it's almost like you've set the framework here for a young person to identify, I'm not feeling good about myself when I'm around that person.
Yes.
Then they immediately identify that as a form of emotional abuse, right?
Yes.
And how does that most often show itself in young relationships, do you think?
Like emotional abuse?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say with some of those
Again,
those are
there's
like
such
those,
subtleties.
yes, and those are some of the like buzz ones, which is why they're in our dating bill of rights, like that right to privacy. A lot of people think that if you're dating, it's okay for your partner to check your phone, right? It's okay for them to check your DMs on Instagram, but it's not if you're not okay with it.
You're saying by this Bill of Rights, it's not okay, especially if you're not okay with it.
Especially
So if somebody's pressing an issue related to your privacy, that is a red flag.
yes.
And these are the conversations you're having with young people. When you have them, do you see sort of a light go on? Are there moments where you can tell that, and I keep saying young women, but young men can be in abusive
especially
relationships,
emotional.
abuse in any relationship as well. So we don't want to diminish that. So when I say that you're having this conversation with these young people, do you see those light bulb moments where they begin to think, I think she's talking about me?
Yes, yes, especially when we talk about location sharing. That has probably been the biggest like hot topic with all of our students, for all of us at all of our schools this semester of I don't have to share my location. Like, oh, they don't have to know where I am all the time.
So some young women believe that, or again, it could be reciprocal.
Yes.
Believe that this idea of location sharing is how you commit in a relationship.
Yes.
It's how you say, I
proving your
love you.
trust. Yes. It's like
And
I'm
it's how you
proving
prove
to
your
you
trust.
can trust me.
And you don't believe at all that that should be part of the equation.
No, not at all.
If both parties don't agree on it.
Exactly.
And yet it's part of a built-in feature on Snapchat,
Yes.
right? Let's talk about social media in general. So we know location sharing is possible through our smartphones or through social media, but also access to people at all times. And isn't that where some of this more subtle, nuanced, and covert emotional abuse and even stalking can happen?
Yes. Yes. I definitely think it has enhanced the ability to do so. It's so much easier now because it's like, okay, if you aren't sharing your location with me on your iPhone, which you can share indefinitely, right? Like all the time, then I can check your Snapchat and see where you're at. Or I can see if you put a location on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, whatever social media they're using. There's always that feature of like having your location. So it's like they have 8 different platforms that they can technically check to see where you are.
And they could be tracking you in a way that's obsessive, and that could be a slippery slope. Do you believe among the women and even men that you've dealt with in domestic violence situations who are of adult age and in relationships, some of that abuse began much earlier in their lives and other relationships and it just went unrecognized, and again it became normalized?
Yes. Yes. Either from maybe seeing family members or parents be in an abusive relationship, or even if the parents were what we would call helicopter parents, like the parents that want to have
Hovering.
locations all the time, want to know where you're at, want to know what you're doing at all times. It can kind of feed into like, okay, well, I'm used to my mom or my dad or my grandma always want this information anyway. So what is it if my partner wants it too?
So you believe by identifying early on and teaching young women and young men to identify what abuse is, they'll avoid a long life of being at the hands of an abuser.
Yes.
Yeah, where their whole family could be compromised.
Yes.
Because we see that at the family place, entire families who have to escape. One final thing before we take a quick break. When you talk about this idea of stalking, I mean, we've had this conversation. The show You, for example, on Netflix, wildly popular, really is about the life of a stalker. He's stalking people under the guise of love and affection. And in some ways, Joe has become kind of glorified. Does that worry you?
Yes, it is definitely worrisome. We talk about You, well, especially I do with all of my classes, because I'm like, this is a great show. I love the show too, but let's
it's fiction.
acknowledge, that this is not okay. He
That
is
someone doesn't
stalking.
show love by stalking you obsessively.
Exactly.
Yeah, another means by which we might be normalizing a behavior and not recognizing it as
Yeah,
abusive.
we call it stalking for love.
Yeah. Well, there are a number of ways that people can become a teacher, as you are. These are full-time paid jobs offered by the Family Place, and they're looking for people now. And you don't have to have a teaching degree in order to have this position, and also funding to keep this program going so that we can recognize abuse early on, and ways that you can donate. We have all of that for you right here, and we'll be back in a moment with more on how parents should talk to their teenagers about this issue. For more information on Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, go to familyplacebproject.org. And to donate to the Bee Project, go to familyplace.org. Choose Donate in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Then click the purple Donate button. Choose the amount you would like to donate. And then select which program you'd like the money to be used for. Under Other, type in B, that's B-E, Project. All right, we are back talking about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month in February, and a project being led by the Family Place, which has been a leader in domestic violence awareness in DFW. We talked about social media and the impact it has on the lives of young people who are constantly connected via social media. It may be a means by which someone stalks someone they're dating, and at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. The flip side is the Family Place and Be Project are able to reach teens where they are with the message on social media. Take a look.
Energy made this one.
Yeah. Well, you said you were alright. Okay. I can take you there. Yeah. That's all you gotta do is say that one time. Okay. Yeah. Alright.
And you'll find Carrie Webb in some of those TikTok videos giving advice to young people, again, reaching them where they are, which is sort of the flip side of social media. It can be used for good. You can, again, reach teens where they are, and that is on their phones and on social media.
Yes, it gives us more access to them, and not just in the schools in person, but they can randomly see me on their For You page and get that information that way as well.
And one of the tools that you use via social media and in person is this quiz that's titled "How Healthy Are Your Relationships?" And just some of the questions. The person I'm with is supportive of things I do, yes or no. Encourages me to try new things, yes or no. Understands that I have my own life too. Gets mad when I don't text back. Thinks I spend too much time trying to look nice. Gets extremely jealous. You get the idea here that we're running through some of the telltale signs and the red flags that somebody might be emotionally abusive in a relationship. Do you think this is a good starting point for parents to sit down with their teenager and ask these questions about the person they're dating?
Yes, even if they do it in a more casual way of like if they just have this quiz and like every so often they ask one of these questions like, hey, is your partner excited that you want to go to this college that's 5 hours away? Or are they excited that you are interested in trying a new sport? Or
And if the answer is, well, he's not really that excited about it, and then you ask, really, why? Why wouldn't you be excited? And you can
Exactly.
begin to maybe unearth what's happening.
That
But don't you
dialogue.
think if a teenager is unable to identify their own abusive relationship, in part because they've been brought up in a home where there was an abusive relationship between their
Yes.
parents, that conversation isn't going to happen that way. Nobody's equipped in that scenario to handle this topic.
yes,
What
unfortunately.
happens then?
Usually that's why we offer our parent trainings. A lot of times, I can't even say how many times we've done parent trainings and the parent will kind of realize in that moment, like, I may be.
I was just going to ask you,
Yeah.
have there been revelations among parents when they are examining their teenagers' dating life where they realize maybe they're in an abusive relationship?
Yes. Yes. Kind of like that awareness is coming to them as well. I've even had students after one of my lessons in class come up and be like, do y'all do these for adults? Because I think my mom could use it.
And it's sad on the one hand, right, that it's taken this long and it takes this in order for them to realize that. But at the same time, it must be rewarding in that it's proof your work and what you're doing is working.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Like this has a purpose and it's serving its purpose. Whether it's the parents realizing, the children realizing, or the parents figuring out how to help the children.
There is a specific sector of the teenage population which is at greater risk of being in an abusive relationship. And we're talking about members of the LGBTQ community
Yes.
and youth of color. Why is that, do you think?
I think it definitely is a huge part in the culture of like, especially like youth of color. Like, what are the norms of that culture? Like, is the man the head of the household? Like, are, like these rules for certain genders that already exist, how are they being displayed at home?
Or if you're from a minority community, is being marginalized and not having a voice
Yes.
so normal that you don't speak up when you're in a difficult situation?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering with the LGBTQ community, if you don't feel your self-worth because you're not being accepted as who you are, you're more vulnerable to be taken advantage of by someone.
Yes, that is a huge piece in both situations, just that vulnerability for both. And especially for LGBTQ youth, there's also that there's a different dynamic because especially if it's a same-sex relationship, then it's like, okay, like, well, how do we navigate this? Well, because we're both females and we hit each other, is that really domestic violence?
Yeah, who's really the aggressor if it's a
Exactly.
same-sex relationship?
Exactly.
Who do you pin the blame on? Where we tend to, and it's not right, but we tend to again, that's why I was very careful to say this can affect young men too, because a young woman can abuse a young man physically and emotionally. We don't hear about it as often, but it exists, right? And we don't
Definitely.
want to diminish that. But a young man who claims a woman is abusive is less likely to be believed.
Yes. Yes, because men are stronger, men are bigger, men are more in charge. Well,
You
how
should
can
be
you
able to fend themselves off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So are you able to have those kinds of specific conversations, or do you have breakout groups? I mean, do you identify, and how difficult is that? You
Yes.
want everyone to feel like they're included in the conversation, but if there are issues specific to youth of color or LGBTQ youth, how do you handle that?
Oh, we love to just dive right in. At B Project, that is probably our most enjoyed conversation is when we talk about these gender stereotypes and how they play a part in abuse. It's usually a big eye-opening moment for a lot of our students. They're like, well, I didn't think about it like that. Like, yeah, we do assume that women do this and men do this. So when it's not that, how, like, what does that mean? Like, how do we define this?
Do you sense that they're really eager to have these conversations? Like, part of me wondered coming into this if they're holding it, close and not wanting to talk about it because there's shame associated with it, or admitting that you didn't know you were the victim of something you should have spoken up about. But you make it sound like they're almost there's a void in their life to be able to address these issues. And when you come in, you give them a safe place
Yes.
and
exactly.
space to just discuss it.
Yes, they are ready for these conversations and they need these, they want these conversations. They'll even say to us all the time of like, no one ever talks to us about this stuff. Like no one wants to talk about this stuff. It feels like a taboo topic when in reality, they need to know.
Well, I mean, I sort of have said this for a while. I mean, I don't mean to make this a commentary on standardized education, but we don't really talk about how to navigate some of life's difficulties.
Yes.
Right. And among them is dating. And parents aren't always comfortable talking about it either. So I want to circle back to something you said earlier. Is it just best to just sort of casually have a conversation? Hey, how's so-and-so? Now you're dating, right?
Yes.
How's that going? I mean, as opposed to making it a, let's sit down, I have something to talk to you about.
Yes. Yes. Making it feel like a lecture or like this big moment is definitely going to scare any teenager away. They're like, oh my God, I don't want to get into this right now, mom or dad. But if you make it more casual of like you're just checking in, because really that's what you're doing. You're just checking in to see if there is a problem that you need to address or if there is something going on. So that would be the biggest thing of not making it feel like this moment. You know, like how people always talk about like, I'm going to have the talk with my child one day. Like, don't make it feel like that. Like just make it normal everyday conversation.
But again, if which is where you come in, if you're in a family that is just fundamentally ill-equipped
Yes.
for whatever reason, it's not an indictment on these families. It's just an observation. We all know we come from some level of dysfunction. So, right. So
Yes.
if you're just in a family that's ill-equipped to handle these conversations, frankly, you're picking up the slack.
Yes. Yes. And that is pretty much why we were created, to be that middle person that kind of picks up where is that disconnect? Like where can we get these parents connected to their teams to have these conversations and therefore prevent them being in these abusive relationships later in life?
Was there ever a moment, have there been moments, have schools generally been cooperative and wanted you to be part of their curriculum? And have parents ever said that's not the school's place? I mean, they've said that about sex education for a long time. That's been an argument by parents. It's not the school's place to talk to my children about that. That's my responsibility. Any of that kind of pushback ever?
Yes, that has definitely happened, like with some schools maybe worrying how the parent would feel about their child being involved in these type of conversations, like what ideas could it put in their head. Kind of the same argument around like sex education, because we talk about some things related to that at times because we have to talk to them about sexual abuse and what that looks like and how that can especially look in relationships. So we do get some pushback, but overall we've been pretty accepted.
And do you feel like by breaking through with these conversations that when a teenager is in an abusive relationship, they're more apt to report it because A, they recognize it, and B, they know who to turn to?
Yes, yes. Is being able to see what it is and know who can help is the biggest part.
So we could see the numbers go up because if the incidents are underreported, this number is not reflecting.
Right.
But as that number goes up, it could be speaking to the issue. It could be a signal
Yes.
that being more forthcoming means that we're addressing it more.
Yes, yes. That is being addressed. And And hopefully, even with that inflection of numbers, would be a lowering of the numbers of what as well, because they're able to see it and remove themselves from that situation.
Well, Carrie Webb, thank you for having this conversation. I'm really, proud of the work you do, that you're able to identify at this level with young people who need it so much, clearly. And the Family Place is always a resource for domestic violence at all ages and at all levels. And we want to remind you once again how you can get in touch with them, how you can also donate to the Family Place, not just during this awareness month, but year round. Thank you for joining us, everyone, for Forward DFW together with the Dallas Morning News. I'm Ron Corning. We will see you next time. For more information on the Be Project, go to familyplacebproject.org. And to donate, go to familyplace.org. Also, you can follow Be Project on Instagram at Be Project and at The Family Place, and on TikTok at TFP Be Project.